Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the first Data Ethics for All Roundtable. My name is Shilpi Agarwal. I'm your host and founder of Data Ethics for All. Thank you for joining me today. Have you ever seen the Amazon Prime original, Mrs. Maisel? So Mrs. Maisel is a stand-up comedian, and she does a fantastic job into turning her moments and experiences from everyday life into fun anecdotes for her audience. And that's an inspiration to me. And so the hope with this Data Ethics for All Roundtable is to take very serious concepts of data ethics, and hopefully we can make them interesting while keeping them educational. So that's something we aspire to do. And I hope, if nothing else, at least my face will hopefully make you smile. That's the hope. We are going to keep this event totally interactive and conversational. I would love to hear your comments and suggestions. Ask me questions. I'm going to be talking for a few minutes, and then we'll take questions in the end. I can also invite you to screen, so please feel free to leave your comments in the comment section here, and I'll be watching that. Sunil Bhaiya, welcome. Welcome to the show. I see that you're here, and so good that you could join us. And everyone else who is joining us live, thank you so much for being here with us. People who are watching us on Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube, thank you all for tuning in. And let's get started on what is data ethics. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And okay. So hopefully you can see my screen here. I'm going to adjust the window so you can see my screen. Just give me a minute while I reposition this so I can watch you and also see my comments. All right. So let's go. So what is data ethics? We all know that we are producing huge amounts of data, and at the speed and velocity that was never found before. So according to the Alan Turing Institute, not only the world's population is increasing, but the amount of connected devices today has surpassed the number of people in the world. So as you can see from this graph, between 2003 and 2010, somewhere around 2007 maybe, we now have more connected devices than the number of people. Isn't that crazy? And if you look at today, 2020, we have the world's population at 7.6 billion and connected devices at 50 billion. So what this means is that we are not only creating data at a very high speed, very high velocity, but also the types of data that we are creating are very different. Like we have tons of different data types, mainly classified into two, which could be classified into structural as well as unstructured data. As you can see from here, that both of these have quite a few subclassification of the types of data that are available to us. And so this brings us to the data challenge, which is what we are able to do and the potential invasiveness of these new ways of looking at data is the central motivating factor that is causing problems, not only in the space of data ethics, but also in the approach of regulation. Like, how do we regulate this industry and data protection and privacy law? So what exactly is the difference between data privacy and data ethics, you may ask? So data privacy deals with responsibly collecting, using, and storing data about people that is in line with what they expect, what our customers expect of us, what the law expects of us, whether it's GDPR, whether it's CCPA. So we follow those guidelines, we follow the regulations and the laws, we are compliant. That's data privacy. We have the data that's secure, that's private, we are following all the guidelines, all the rules. That's great. So what exactly is data ethics? Data ethics is doing the right thing with data, considering the human impact of it from all sides, and making decisions that are based on your brand values. Today, people are responsible and they want to do businesses with companies that are following data ethical practices. So it's in our best interest that we become a data ethical company. So today, there is a very close coupling between the data ethics and the data protection. So what is the formal definition of data ethics? Again, according to the Alan Turing Institute, it is inspired by three things. It's the big data, all the unstructured and the structured data that we are creating, the ability to generate and process greater amounts of data and types of data that were ever possible before. The second is the algorithms that we need to process, algorithmic systems that we need to process and make sense of all this data, whether it is automated process, human run, but we need these processes and algorithms to make sense and look at the different new ways that this data insights is providing us. And the third important concept here is the data-driven practices. Today, we are driven, there are many different practices now that look at data, and it is driven by the insights that we can now generate from these huge amounts of structured and unstructured data. Healthcare is the biggest example of one of these data-driven practices. Today, if we have a clinical trial, or if we go visit our primary care physician, initially it used to be a conversation between me and my physician, and now it's mostly he's taking notes. Not only is he basing his diagnosis, he or she is basing their diagnosis on what I'm telling them, but they also have third-party data, behavioral data on what I do in my daily life, things that could affect my health. How much I exercise, how much I eat, what do I eat, how much I drink water, my sleep patterns. All those things are definitely going to affect my health. And so just with the symptoms, which used to be previously the case, you walk into a doctor's office and you say, oh, your symptoms are this, and this, and that's all the data they have. They can check you, they can do all that on your body, but they don't have any peripheral data that will help them come to the conclusion as to what it may be causing that. And so they can treat the symptoms, but not the cause. But with this huge amounts of data that is available today to them, first party as well as third party data, aggregate data, and also not anonymized data, they can identifiable data, they can actually tell us what we are doing right versus what we are doing wrong and where we should change things. So why do we need the Data Ethics for All initiative? As I was saying all along, as business leaders, today we are aware of the challenges of ethical data collection, sharing, and use, as well as we've all heard plenty of scandals surrounding data privacy. Cambridge Analytica is one being the biggest one, but we have seen data breaches, we have seen all sorts of data scandals. So we know that data mishandling is a legal, political, and financial minefield. Once we do something wrong, it tarnishes the company's brand's image, and it'll take months, if not years, to recover from that, only if we start doing the right thing. But unlike compliance, ethics is very personal. So how do we define this very ethical tasks. So for example, if I take a picture of someone, who is the owner, even if they have given me a right or whatever, but I have taken that picture. Now, does that picture, I own that picture, or the person who it belongs to, like it is of the person, the subject, who is the owner of that data? So and this is also a very important question in the autonomous vehicle industry, because if there is something that is going on and the vehicle can either save the driver or 6 pedestrians on the road, what algorithm should it choose? What decision should it make? And what is the ethical right decision to make here? Whether to save the driver of the car or the pedestrians on the road. So who is right? And I think that's a little bit of gray area that we all need to come together as a community, as a society, and decide that this is ethical versus this is unethical. Like unethical and ethical, I think we have defined other things in society really well until now. Like, for example, if my neighbor has a really loud music party going on after 12 in the night, then I have the right to maybe call on the cops and say, hey, this is disturbing the neighborhood. And so that's legal and ethical, that after 11, you can have a party at your house, but if you're disturbing your neighbors, then that's not ethical. Similarly, if we cheat in an exam, that is considered ethical. We have defined those ground rules, and now there is no confusion in our mind as to what is ethical versus what is unethical behavior. But the same is not true for data science. And as data leaders, consumers, and everybody who touches and handles data, I think it's becoming more and more important for people to come together and define these rules about data ethics and what it means to be ethically data-driven company. So this framework, again, if we put it into, we need a framework that will define this, that will create these guidelines for this. And it has to become the backbone to inform data collection, responsible stewardship of people's information, and that would guide organizations about how to become ethically responsible and go beyond mere compliance. So I want to, there are a lot of people here, so I want to quickly say hello. Hello, Ramesh ji. Hi, Mike. Hi, Vivek Bhaiya. Thank you for joining us today. You're watching DataEthics4All Roundtable. It's our first one in the series, and we have quite a few more lined up. So thank you for joining us. Going back to the topic on the Data Ethics for All initiative. So what is the mission for this initiative? Well, the mission is twofold. One is to raise awareness for ethical data practices through education, building a community, and an advisory council. So we are doing all three together. We are, through these podcasts and roundtable discussions, we are bringing guests on the show. And through this education, very important, we have created a platform of community, of bringing people together where we can discuss what ethical and unethical means to us, right? And we also have a very, very impressive advisory council that has multidisciplinary experts who understand the challenges of data ethics and would like to explore the possibility of creating the right step-by-step data ethics and data governance framework that any organization can then implement, so that there is no confusion. If you're following this framework that explicitly says these are the 10 things you need to do to call yourselves a data ethics company, that you're handling all data, not only as the law says, and it's private and secure, but also what your consumers want from you. Like you're not targeting them if they say, do not target me with the cookies. Or as CCPA now demands, if a user says, delete all the information that you have on me, we follow that. But not only do we follow that, that's being compliant, but we go beyond that. And we don't do things in the first place that are shady or things that we have been able to do and get away with data in the past. So that's all I have. I think this covers a very important topic of what data ethics is, why do we need data ethics, and what we can do together to bring a change in the society. Today, everybody who handles data, like we have had this Hippocratic oath for lawyers and for doctors since the beginning of time. When you become a new doctor, whenever you are a witness in the court of law, you are asked to take an oath. I think with the amounts of data that we are producing at the supersonic speed, we need a data ethics oath, something that will guide everybody, and everybody who touches data in your company, whether it's a data scientist or a data analyst or even a marketing person, a salesperson, business leader, anybody who has anything to do with consumer data needs to understand what are the not only legal implications, but ethical implications of mishandling that data. So that's all for me. Let me see if you have any questions, and I'll take some questions. And like I said, thank you for joining me. If you like, I can invite you on screen. I'm going to stop sharing. Hello, and let's see. Do we have questions? All right. Does anybody want to come on stage here on the screen? Why don't I invite some people to come on screen? So I've sent invitations to Sunil, Mike, Vivek, Rameshji. If you guys are interested in coming on screen, please let me know. Would love to have a more interactive conversation. No worries, some of you have rejected it, but maybe another time. So thank you for joining us, and here's wishing you the rest of your day really goes well. And thank you for joining the Data Ethics for All Roundtable. See you next time. Bye-bye.